Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. This is the privacy and the security and the business and the SillyVille editions. After my poll last week, everyone, of course, predictably, who watched the edited versions wanted edited versions. Everyone who liked the live versions wanted to do the just timestamps in the live versions. But since it was kind of this split 50-50 and the objective is ultimately to just make sure that we do not have too many more news videos on the channel as we have Linux content, I'm going to experiment at least for a month. We're going to do one video with all of the news sections and see how well you guys like that. So let me know in the comments. Of course, I will not get the edited video out until either Saturday or Sunday because running low in power. Can't run this big computer all the rest of the night. So anyway, let's go ahead and get on into the news. All right, so first up, NordVPN has a research article, which countries' websites have the most trackers? Of course, so look at this. These guys are scanning for fingerprints. These guys are scanning for videos, contents, whatever else. Well, what they did is they looked at, of course, with all these people using VPNs coming in from all different countries, of course, they can use studies. Did you know you're being part of studies? Or maybe it was a little bit better. Let's see. Some websites might sell owners' data they've collected to marketers, government agencies, private companies for profit. That's terrifying. This is that third-party document to be aware of. They looked at advertising. They looked at analytics. And what they wanted to do is see... they wanted to see what people are using. Now, researchers, basically this is looking at top 100 sites in 25 countries. Websites were taken from SimilarWeb. By the way, no, they were not using random users' data. This was a research project done with researchers. So researchers visited the sites using 3 tracker blockers: Brave, Privacy, Badger, and uBlock Origin. They didn't log into the sites, but it accepted tracking cookies where applicable. They compared the highest number of trackers detected across with the countries to determine the prevalence of tracking in each country. So what they basically showed is your Asian bloc countries had the absolute most trackers, US rigging in, and then the EU countries getting significantly smaller and smaller. So Hong Kong with the most, Singapore second most, 33.5, and United States, the average website has 23.1 various trackers. Isn't that frightening? Of course, because United States is this wild, wild west of things, and Hong Kong and Singapore, they're just, places that they're just collecting anything and everything that they can with very little oversight or control. The EU nations, they tend to have a lot more oversight. They have a lot more that you can or can't do, and so they have a significant smaller amount of trackers. And so basically the point being is that looking at different companies and what they're doing, where your primary target is, kind of tells you if the company is going to be more or less involved in that. So that is what Nord found with trackers on websites based on countries. Well, Gmail now learns from your behavior, but there's a catch. This is pointing to a Gmail rolling out a new filter, which is basically using AI to look at your searches and see what you're clicking on and try and build itself a better, smarter AI. Every other article I found on the internet was sitting here praising, this is so awesome. Oh, Google, bend over. I want to kiss you again. This one at least had the common decency to tell us how this is going to work and what you need to do. Now, it is, at least for now, disabled by default. And again, it is AI utilizing Google Assistant-like research with AI to try and curate the things you're searching for to make it, quote unquote, better or smarter search. And the problem is that you have to go in and you actually have to enable the ability to track information. Let's see, to enable Gmail's contextual search, you'll need to enable web and app activity in your Google account, which may be problematic news for customers who are concerned about their privacy and how their data is being used. But if you want your Google to use your search results to train AI, you can go ahead and turn that stuff on and contribute to the end of the world through Skynet. So anyway, moving on. Our last story, we have 2 stories here kind of related to this. Eufy branded themselves as this amazing Ring alternative. These are no clouds, no accounts. Everything stays directly between you. And of course, it would send the data to your phone. And that raised a few eyebrows. Well, how is the data sending to your phone if there's no cloud and no account? I mean, your camera's not directly pinging your phone 24/7, is it? And so people started looking into this, and it turns out that the no cloud claim was slightly problematic. It turns out that with very little encryption, actually in some cases it was no encryption, no user accounts, no anything, just a string of numbers which included the serial number of the camera and a batch number, and I think something related to your phone number. With that random string of characters, you could access anybody's feed, and even worse, they were actually uploading data into AWS servers. So SEC Consult noted Eufy seems to have hardened the security since May of 2021 when users were suddenly given near full access to other people's accounts. Whoops. But sadly, thumbnails of all recorded images still seem to be transferred into AWS, so the devices will not fit our requirements for privacy. SEC said it moved up its publication of the findings based on Moore's tweet with a Black Friday shopping mania just around the corner. How exciting. Moore later posted a response from Eufy, the finding in which a Eufy support representative states that thumbnails are restricted to account logins and the URL will expire within 24 hours unless the user shares it. Eufy rep also notes that Eufy noticed it before and plans to make it home-based 3-store thumbnails locally too. So they just noticed that their device was somehow just connecting to some random AWS cloud and just uploading all of the data there. I mean, who'd have thunk it? Nobody ever mentioned any of that. And this is kind of why you need to understand a lot of this kind of stuff yourself. Build your own server if you want these types of things, and then use some other form of protocol to get into your local server rather than that, or at least have a lot more control. Maybe you want it on AWS, but you want it on an AWS server you control. I mean, there's benefits for that for a security system. You know, somebody comes in here and, breaks into your house and they see your giant server there and they walk off with your hard drives, they just stole your evidence. But if you're pushing everything up to the cloud, they can't exactly break into Amazon very easily now, can they? However, that being said, there are some issues, and I would be wary of any individual company's product that is going to promise that it's not going to store anything and it's just going to give you direct access through your phone to your accounts. But after all this kind of was happening, this is where people found out that your individual cameras can be streamed unencrypted from everywhere. I mean, Eufy even said that, there's even an update on this today. Eufy has issued a statement in response to the findings from The Verge and a security researcher. This is the part that's new. I've not read this yet. Eufy security adamantly disagrees with the accusations leveled against the company concerning the security of our products. The dude actually took your products, opened up VLC, and streamed with it with a random string of keys. You can deny the accusations all you want, but if I can open up VLC and stream your stuff with the stream keys, I think I can actually get there. Yeah. Because if you're streaming the stuff by nature, it's open. I mean, the stream key that I'm using to feed 5 different sites at once, if somebody happens to figure out what that thing happens to be, they can actually stream it themselves on VLC directly. I can actually provide that for people, that you could pull up VLC and watch it without being on the internet otherwise. But we frequently review and test our security features and encourage feedback from the broader security industry to ensure we address all credible security vulnerabilities. If a credible vulnerability is identified, we take necessary actions to correct it. In addition, we comply with all appropriate regulatory bodies in the markets where our products are sold. Finally, we encourage users to contact our dedicated customer support team with questions. How much you want to bet if we call them, I get some third world country outsource something? Hello, thank you for calling Abu at Eufy Security. May I have your camera model number, please? So what these guys are saying is you can't. So Eufy didn't respond to other claims from security researcher Paul Moore and others, including that one could stream the feed from a Eufy camera in VLC if you had the right URL. Last night, Verge worked with security researcher Wasabi. That sounds like, is that a name of a nut? Wasabi Not saying Wasabi's a nut. I'm just saying, isn't there a nut named? I don't know. Wasabi, who first tweeted the problem, confirmed that it could access Eufy camera streams encryption free through a Eufy security server URL. This makes the privacy compromises of footage, never leaves the safety of your home, is end-to-end encrypted, and only sent straight to your phone. Highly misleading, if not outright dubious. It also contradicts Anchor Eufy senior PR managers who told The Verge it's not possible. Okay, so you have a PR guy, it's not possible. You have a security researcher saying, I just did it. It's not possible. I just did it. It's not possible. I just did it. Yeah. Well, Neuralink is starting to do some clinical trials, injecting transhumanist type stuff into people's heads. So I figured I'd talk about my book, Synaptergy, which is very much like this case. In fact, possibly somewhat inspired by the possibility of something like Neuralink. But anyway, you can head on over to Synaptergy.com and you can go ahead and read the first chapter of the book over here. You can actually listen to the first 5 minutes of the book down here. Of course, I'll have to enable that. This is over on SoundCloud, so you can listen to the first 5 minutes of the book over there on audiobook. And then the where to buy, there's a number of different places where you can pick it up from. I do not have it on author website right now. I've not updated the website, but I took that down. But you can pick it up a number of different places as well. So anyway, I do need to update it. I do have this on PayHip as well. Payhip.com/OWIC. We'll have all my books over there. You can get the ebook and the audiobook over on PayHip, and that's actually my personal international selling arm. So Synaptergy, great little story about a possible consequences of all this transhuman stuff. So who knows? I'll probably push that a little bit further and maybe start working on book 2 soon. That sounds pretty fun. Well, guys, let's head on over to security. All right, first up in security, a fake Android app is turning victims' phones into an SMS relay. Users could be sending OTP codes to criminals. So there were a couple different apps available here. One of these is still available, at the least at the time of the article. It suggests it's just an SMS. Of course, you set it up, and you set it up to be downloaded, and then it requests permissions for SMS, which you would expect because it is an SMS application. But then it gets on up to a certain point and just kind of freezes and doesn't do anything. Well, what it's doing when it's doing that is it's connecting itself to the fraudulent servers, and the people are using your phone to relay OTP protocols across the internet, using your phone to scam websites into creating fake accounts or breaching people's accounts with 2FA. Regarding cell phone stuff. This is related to another app which has been since taken down, which this app over here is it Simu, I think? What this one did is allowed you to create virtual numbers, but it was also being used in a similar way. Of course, the big one is the this SMS application, which you can, at least as the time of the writing of this, you could still download 100,000 downloads. Of course, this is why I do not recommend you download anything on the Google Play Store. You should use F-Droid, where everything is actually security audited. Not just, hey, this is cool. Of course, how long before this is promoted by Google in their new smart search thing in the Google App Store? Is Google Play Store, I guess. You go in there, click the thing. It used to tell you your last searches. Now it gives you 4 apps that have just had a great deal or just updated something amazing. Yeah. How long before scammers feed that all into it? And then Google is literally pushing the malware. Guys, avoid the Google Play Store for sure. Well, attackers abused the popular TikTok Invisible Challenge to spread info stealer. All right. So while the whole world is blowing up over Elon Musk, oh my Lord, the devil they just bought Twitter. Let's all jump off. I saw one article. It was either The Wired or MIT. One of these left-wing rag. No, it's The Guardian. They're like, Twitter, how long are you going to keep Twitter hanging along there, Elon? Just kill the thing. In case you guys haven't noticed, Twitter has actually been blowing up. Their user count is up. Their time spent on it is up. Every metric you want for a website is going up. Yet, Elon Musk simply is letting people you don't like to talk, even though what they're saying is not against the law. And everyone's going crazy. We gotta ban Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, TikTok's coming in with the Invisible Challenge. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about the Invisible Challenge. Let's read about the Invisible Challenge. Now, the Invisible Challenge is one of these things that TikTok is pushing to your children. Keep that in mind. If you are allowing your children to be on TikTok, you are harming your children. Get them off of it. All right. Here is the Invisible Challenge. Okay. People participating in the Invisible Challenge have to apply a filter called Invisible Body that removes the character's body from a video in which they pose naked, making a blurred contour image of it. So your children are being pushed by the TikTok algorithm, the Invisible Challenge, which is telling your children to take off all of their clothes and snap a photo and then download this particular filter to put it on to make them invisible around the photo. And that thing they're downloading is malware. And we're worried about Elon Musk. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Like, of course, don't forget, TikTok was like, Orange Man Bad wanted to ban TikTok. And they were like, oh, you can't do that. I mean, come on. And then, of course, it was on the chopping block again. And then TikTok went into a quiet private room with the NSA. And they came out and said, there's no problem here. This is great. We're just going to allow TikTok to keep going. So now TikTok, being empowered by the federal government right now, is telling your children to take naked pictures of themselves for people in China to have access to the photos. And then, of course, download malware onto their device while they're at it. Just going to do all sorts of fun stuff. So, yeah. I think maybe at this point in time, we should just shut down Twitter as a CP harvester. Sounds good to me. Of course, someone's going to be making money on this, so no big deal. But we got to shut down Twitter. Despite you can no longer find that stuff on Twitter, thanks to Elon Musk. Took him 2 weeks to get all that stuff off that people have been complaining and suing the company about for years. Huge problem with CSAM on Twitter. It's all gone now, guys. It's gone. It's all over on TikTok now. But, TikTok's okay, but Twitter... In fact, TikTok's getting so bad. A friend of mine told me he had to get a new phone just recently. He gets a Motorola phone. TikTok is pre-installed. He uninstalled TikTok, and it came back. He uninstalled again. It came back. He says it's become his weekly thing to look to make sure TikTok's not reinstalled. Sounds like malware to me. Well, Lastpass just breached again. I know I had somebody in the comments just the other day being like, yeah, Lastpass, I can sync all my passwords everywhere. This KeyPass thing, man, it's just too hard to use. Like... Preached again. Second time this year, in fact. They're still not passing any information, although they're completely sure that your master password has not been compromised. Don't worry about that. We don't know any details about it. This is sounds like a political talking point, We don't know any details about what's causing all this infertility, but we know it has nothing to do with anything like this. Yikes. They got in there. They got in with a compromised user account. They had free reign of their sandbox and their source code for, I believe it was 4 days. And then, of course, now they're completely sure that no consequences, no problems, no issues, no big deal. And this new Windows malware scans your phone. So there's this big push and trend and everybody, you got to sync your phone up, and Windows now has apps to connect your phone to it and all this. And because, we are so addicted to our phones, we got to sit here watching a video and I can't possibly pause the video, pull it up over on the computer, find the video, and scroll to the spot I am. Oh, no. I have to get my phone within close proximity to the computer, set it here, and seamlessly pass the phone up onto the screen so I can seamlessly continue watching my stuff as my mind continues to turn to mush inside of my head. Well, now there's malware that will scan any device you attach to your Windows computer, including your phone. So if you guys are connecting your phones to your computers, like, look at this awesome thing. I can just be watching my TV shows over here, watch my TikTok videos over here of a bunch of children playing the Invisible Challenge, get close to it, and boom, it just automatically appears over here. Well, any of these devices, which is phones, it is NAS, it is thumb drives, anything else that is connected to your computer, malware. Malware scanning for it. It's looking for anything fun or interesting, passwords, cookies, all sorts of other fun stuff. Isn't that great? And of course, it's Google's not free of this one as well. They gotta get everyone in here on the act because they're basically grabbing all the information and passing it on up to your Google Drive. So anyway, that is a fun little fact if you are using those syncing type applications in order to can sync everything together and things like that. Just be aware that malware can access it. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do now have a locals page, SwitchedToLinux.locals.com. You can head on over there, join in the community over there, and we're going to start talking about this sticky notes on my wall over here about possible upcoming videos. I'm going to leave some comments over there here, maybe this weekend, maybe early next week. We're going to go ahead and get into that and start getting some communications going on over there on locals. Well, guys, let's head on over to business news next. First up in business, we have an update. I was originally put this in SillyVille, but I think we put this in the business news last time. So as silly as this gets, we have to go ahead and put it back in the business news because this is an update to the story we did last week. San Francisco, of course, we're talking about putting on robots with lethal weapons. People are like, what's going on over here? And San Francisco reported back and said, no, they're not going to have guns, just bombs. So, might make San Francisco a better place. So a similar policy was defeated in Oakland. I mean, Oakland was so crazy. I mean, Oakland's nuts. But they're like, we go a little bit too far when you're talking about, armed robots on the streets. San Francisco Police Department does not own or operate robots outfitted with lethal force options. The department has no plans to outfit them with any type of firearm. Spokesman says an intermediate force option to the robots could potentially be equipped with explosive charges to breach fortified structures containing violent, armed, or dangerous subjects, or use contact, incapacitate, or disorientate armed, dangerous suspects who pose a risk of a loss of life to law enforcement or first responders. So no, we do not have any plans to get any robots with guns, just plans to get robots with bombs. We're not even to SillyVille yet, guys. This just gets exciting. Well, explosive charge may be considered an intermediate force option. It may potentially cause injury or be lethal. You think? Robots equipped in this manner would only be used in extreme circumstances to prevent further loss of innocent lives. San Francisco, I think you have a lot of problems right now. Probably need to stop and reconsider this, but what do I know? I'm just a crazy van dweller in the middle of a desert right now. Well, The Guardian has a fluff piece on, I don't know what this is. This isn't race baiting, it's EV baiting. They're EV baiting. Rude drivers were swerve into my lane. Are Tesla owners paying the price for Musk hate? Okay, there's so many levels of issues here. First and foremost, rude drivers will swerve into my lanes. How many times have I had an electric vehicle try and show off going 0 to 65 trying to get into the lane that I am actually put my turn signal on, 15 seconds ago and trying to move and then yeah. More than once. U.S. owners say they've been receiving the end of road rage, but it may be more about EVs than the CEO himself. No, it's not about Musk. I mean, this is like, what, in the last 2 weeks has been this massive increase in road rage against Teslas? I don't think so. Of course, I love this article because they are themselves blind to the nonsense here. Tesla lost at least one customer this weekend after Alyssa Milano tweeted she'd return her model Volkswagen, prompting jokes from Elon Musk and conservative commentators. Yeah, so here is the tweet. Let's go ahead and analyze the tweet. I gave back my Tesla. bought a EV. I love it. I'm not sure how advertisers can buy space on Twitter. Publicly traded companies, products being pushed in alignment with hate and white supremacy doesn't seem to be a winning business model. Okay, for the history lesson, guys, Volkswagen was actually created by Nazi Germany. Yeah. So, all Musk is doing is allowing people who have broke no laws to express their voice, which is what calms society. Otherwise, we get echo chambers of insanity, and echo chambers is what causes people to go nuts. Okay, I'd rather have the outlet of having some weirdo pushing some nonsense on Twitter that I can interact with and maybe get a bunch of rise and cause their posts to go through the mutts, even though they're like, but she's like, how can you possibly support a company that has alignment with hate and white supremacy? There is no hate or white supremacy on Twitter that I can see. I have seen the abolishment of pedo material, however. Nobody's complaining about that. Meanwhile, they're pushing TikTok with the invisible challenge. Telling your children to take nude pictures of themselves in front of their phones. That won't end well. Ban TikTok, not Twitter. But all of that being said, she gets rid of her Tesla to buy the car from the company actually founded by Hitler. Well, Tesla owners do not seem to be following the actor's move en masse. Some noted they have been on the receiving end of road rage directed at their vehicle of choice. Can you please provide me some information here? Because I have not seen any here. All right, let's look through here. There's no official data to prove that they're getting more hate. Tesla drivers are routinely heckled, cut off in traffic, and blocked from charging stations. Says who? An Axios report. Let's see what this Axios report has to say. I didn't look at the Axios report. Angst about politics. It's just EV baiting. This is nonsense. I got news for you. Just because you're driving a car, we might think you're stupid, but we're not going to crash our vehicle into you. It's not worth it. This is insane. And stop running around thinking you're going to save the planet. You're just causing our electric grids to crash more frequently. But that being said, this is just a bunch of EV car baiting. There's nothing to this. They're like, see, we don't have any actual reports. It's just that this guy here said it's happening. So we're just going to write our whole article about why it's happening because we hate Elon Musk too. You go, Guardian. Also on Guardian, now AI can write student essays for them. Will everyone become a cheat? The answer is no. Okay. I have caught a number of people plagiarizing when I was a teacher. All right. It is not that hard to do. It's very easy. Okay. Let me go ahead and tell you why this doesn't work. Because the AI is going to do too good of a job. Okay. If I have a student who is sitting on the back of the room playing his Game Boy the whole time, true story. I actually it was his third time taking the class. He's sitting in the back of my class with a Game Boy. I said, dude, stay home. Your video game system at home has better graphics. He says, well, if my dad calls, I pick up the phone, he'll yell at me. I said, don't pick up the phone when you're supposed to be in class. You're going to fail. You may as well stay home and fail, you know? But he was an incompetent buffoon, so whatever. I caught one guy, I think it was the semester after this, it was an intro to biology lab, and caught him plagiarizing because, believe it or not, that non-major biology freshmen don't write with the same words that Science magazine authors write as. Just an FYI. If I'm asking you to do an essay and you're the student who doesn't do anything, barely turns in your homework, and is mostly failing the class, I would not expect to see pristine work out of you. So it prompts me to look a little bit closer. But if you're the student who's coming in and asking questions and highlighting certain things and doing your work and really trying and sincerely studying, guess what? When you do a good piece of work, chances are, if that's you, you're probably not plagiarizing, but chances are if that's you and you do good work, it's probably legitimate. So I don't think this is going to help. Maybe in our modern education, people get away with it because teachers are like, well, hey, look at this. It's a paper. It's got 150 words on it. A+, yay! Here's your participation trophy. Go be an idiot for the rest of your life and not learn how to write. But yeah, I mean, the tools are getting out there, and it's kind of like becoming the same issue with CAPTCHAs right now in forms. It has become impossible to have contact forms on your websites anymore. You get so much spam because Google pushed AI to solve reCAPTCHA, but then they released the reCAPTCHA AI, and people were able to use that to get around Google's reCAPTCHA. So now the best option you have is honeypots, and now somehow they're figuring out how to get around honeypots. I don't know what the next option is. So it's becoming kind of weird in that respect. So in that respect, yeah, things are getting better and harder to detect, but ultimately as the papers get better, they get harder to detect. The good teacher is not going to rely on software to tell you if that's plagiarism anyway. They're going to look at the content and remember, what student am I dealing with? Because the incompetent buffoon is not going to give you A-level work. Unless he's causing some radical transformation in his mind, in which case he's in your office a whole lot more and you know it. And so I don't see this as a big deal, except for the fact that everything in our education system has been destroyed. And so if teachers are just passing papers through AI checkers to make sure that nobody else has reported this online, then, you know, your incompetence as a teacher is doing this. This is why I got out of the teaching game. It ceased to be about teaching the students, and it sought to be about creating this mill to push students through. And if they became incompetent baboons at the end of it that didn't have any ability to think or knowledge, that didn't matter as long as you got their money and they got their paper. That's why I quit teaching. I want to teach people who are interested in learning, not people who are there because they think it's going to cause them to get better in life. And on to our final story. Linus Torvalds warns the next Linux release could be a real Grinch. Basically, this is just him getting out there on the newsletter, kind of being his typical upfront self, saying, hey, I want to see those code requests before the festivities. I don't want you to be coding the your edits and commits into the Linux kernel when you're all nogged up on alcoholic eggnog. So basically, it's like, get your work done before you get out and party so we can actually have a good Linux kernel coming out and not something that's going to fall apart like some drunk driver or something. And so, yeah, this is making him sound like a little bit of a jerk, or at least maybe the article's trying to push that way. No, it's not. It's him being kind of saying, hey, you know what, guys, meritocracy is actually important. We really do not need the computer systems that run the world to be full of a lot of bugs because you're stupid and drunk. So that's kind of the what they're doing there. So with that, though, guys, we have affiliates, and today we're highlighting Linode. You can use my affiliate code there, tlm.li/Linode. Get $100 in credit, good for 60 days. You can spin up as many Linodes as you want in that time, see what all it can do, keep what you want to keep. I use VPNs, hosting clients, the restreaming server that we're using to restream to multiple different platforms. All of that is done on Linode, tlm.li/Linode. Now, guys, let's go to SillyVille. So, first up in SillyVille, Velveeta is facing a class action lawsuit over microwavable macaroni and cheese because it's not ready in 3.5 minutes as advertised. I mean, you pick this stuff up, and I don't know if it still says it. I mean, the picture here doesn't, but it used to say somewhere, ready in 3.5 minutes. Well, the person's like, I'm sorry, this is not ready in 3.5 minutes. All right. It's microwave for 3.5 minutes, and then you need to let it sit for another 2 minutes. And if you want it thicker, you need to stir it. So, I mean, we're up to like, what is this? 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. We're up to like 6.5 minutes before I can eat my macaroni and cheese. I mean, holy crap. There was a stand-up comedian. I forget who it was. I just remember this bit because it was so funny. He's talking about, and you guys, and I've checked this. I'm not sure if this changed. If you have Pop-Tarts at home, check for this label. If you see on the side, there is a microwave instructions, which actually says microwave for 2 seconds. I think the last time I looked, it said like 3 or 5 seconds now. But literally at the time he did that joke, I looked at my Pop-Tarts and it legitimately said microwave instructions, microwave for 2 seconds. And he went off on this bit like if you don't have 2 seconds, you gotta, adjust your time a little bit more. You can tell why I'm not a comedian. infotainment news guy. But I mean, really, those Pop-Tarts, they take more than 2 seconds because it takes me 2 seconds to pull the thing out and open the box and put it in the microwave. This Velveeta, I want this Velveeta to be ready in exactly 3.5 minutes. False advertising. I want in on the class action lawsuit, guys. And I had macaroni and cheese today. Just so you know. I had macaroni and cheese today. Now, it wasn't this microwavable stuff. I don't have a microwave. What are you talking about? I'm in a van down by the river. Actually, I'm in a van down in the desert. But anyway. Well, a man is arrested after a family game of Monopoly turns violent. This dude ended up pulling out his gun and shooting people over a Monopoly game. So, Tulsa Police Department arrested a man Saturday night after, they say, a family game of Monopoly turned violent. Officers were called to shots fired near the Admiral in Mingo just before 6:30 p.m. The caller identified suspect as John Armstrong, saying he chased her down and fired a shot at her and her father. Police arrived. They immediately took him into custody. Investigators learned the family had been drinking alcohol and playing Monopoly when a fight broke out between Armstrong and the stepfather. After knocking the game board over and turning over furniture, they were told to take the fight outside. Armstrong pulled out a gun after getting cut on the head and chased the stepfather and stepsister down the street, pointing the gun at them. He told police he fired one shot at the ground. Oh, boy, guys. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Our society is crumbling. When you get like this riled up over Monopoly, we got some problems. Well, Google says that Google needs to do a better job at patching Android phones. Project Zero, which is a Google security team, calls out Android, also Google, and Pixel, also Google, for not fixing GPU vulnerabilities. So they decided to take this public, I guess, after probably informing them about some issues and major issues not being fixed. So Google is starting calling out Google, telling Google to fix Google's products. And so this is how crazy it is. When that sentence actually makes sense, because we have 3 completely separate businesses that all have to take it public, our company might be a little bit too big. When Google has to call out Google to fix Google, we got problems. So, but let's move on. For $20 a month, you now can host meetings in Mozilla's mini metaverse. Oh, Mozilla. Of course, they don't have legs either here. They don't have any lower body. They apparently don't have arms either. They have hands. They have disembodied hands. Everyone in this is a thing. Disembodied creatures with things at their beck and call. What is this? Oh, is this a marshmallow man or a robot? I don't know what in the world this is. Oh, Pygmy Goose 12993 wants let into the Mozzila mini metaverse. Great. Pygmy Goose, go away. I don't know what you are or why you are. So here's a little picture inside of here. Oh, look at this awesome metaverse conference room. Great. Let's have a metaverse conference room. We can all sit on our floating chairs and let our non-legs not be there, and as things crawl back and forth across the table. I wonder, if I'm sitting here in the metaverse, can I have my thing hand crawl across the table like this and go and grab the papers from across the table and walk them back? That would be totally awesome. I might actually pay $20 just to be able to run my hand across the table in the metaverse. But they do have some free version, but it's a lot more limited about what you can do. But for $20 a month, you now can host meetings in Mozilla's mini metaverse. Yeah. Well, on to our final story of the day. From Not to Be, a Michigan man calls an Uber to go rob a bank and asks the unaware driver to wait outside as his getaway car. Anyone out here drive Uber? Are you worried about this yet? Is this going to become a trend? Jason Christmas of Southfield, Michigan, called an Uber to take him to Hunting Bank and asked the driver to wait outside while he ran in. Unbeknownst to the driver, Christmas went in to rob the bank. The Uber driver drove Christmas home after the robbery, then went on his merry way. Shortly thereafter, the Uber driver was pulled over by multiple police officers, gun drawn, which had to be quite a shock. Police quickly discovered what had happened and pulled the Uber driving records to find Christmas's name and address. First, when the officers encountered Christmas, they thought he might have been shot or injured in the robbery. He was covered in red liquid, but what they thought to be blood turned out to be red dye from the dye packs the teller put inside the money bundle. Okay, this guy is an absolutely stupid idiot criminal. Yeah, let's just go rent an Uber with our app and our phone and our information and our confirmed data on our photo and our payment information. Let's go rob a bank and then not realize they put dye packs in there and then have the Uber driver drive us home, man. Let's go. I want to know what was the response on the bank that he was able to get out of there without a lot of response. I mean, this is, I don't know, something's going on. Best part of the story is Christmas had called the rideshare because his driver's license was expired and he didn't want to get caught driving without one while robbing a bank. Oh boy, guys. Well, if you want to help support the channel, you can join me over on Patreon, patreon.com/TOMM. Join me on over there. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time. Once again, let me know in the comments down below, how do you like this single video formatted in this format? Thank you for watching this video from SwitchedToLinux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.